I'm a senior technically. This is going to be my fourth year at LSU, but it's my senior year technically, but I will have 2 senior years. I was originally passing the class. I had, I believe, a C+ going into the final, and then messed up on the final and got a D+, and I will have to retake it next spring. I wouldn't say that you were able to get one-on-one time with the professor because it is such a big class, and that's kind of how they're structured in general. You have large classes of over 100 people, and that's how it's been from the start. The class that I needed and failed was in the spring, so I had an entire fall semester where I couldn't move forward in any of my classes, and I would have to be taking gen eds. However, I finished all my gen eds. In order for TOPS to carry over, I need to either be full-time at LSU or have some extraordinary thing that I'm doing. That, or it could be like a work study, like a co-op with a company where it's actually relevant to your major. Not everyone's lucky enough to get a co-op to cover that semester. I have a lot of friends who had to just take BS classes, who just had to take classes to fill in what they were missing. If they took a gap year, they would lose TOPS completely, and that covers most of your tuition, and you can't afford to do that, especially if you're paying for your own school, if you're paying from a 2. So we're all in the same boat. We're all going to be on the 5-year plan at least, and that's assuming that we pass the rest of the courses. I remember talking to my professor about it, and I got a little emotional about it. I asked him, I was like, why would you set me back an entire year? Why would you make me pay for 2 more semesters of school just because, like, I messed up a little bit on this final because I almost passed? I mean, it puts my life on hold. I had plans before this. Like, I had big plans before this, and now it's kind of throwing everything out of whack. It's definitely manageable. I mean, of course you keep going, but it's not supposed to be this way. Like, there should be a way that if you can fail a class, then it doesn't put you back a whole year. It's not a bad way of setup, but I will say if you don't know what you're doing with the flowchart, or if you don't understand it completely, sometimes it's a little hard. It's a little easy to get lost, and sometimes the professors won't really help you with that, especially because you're one person in line with like 20 people. The way everything's connected with the flowcharts for all of engineering, if you mess up one class, you can't go to the next one. You can't move anywhere forward. There's a very small margin for error. We need to have a structured program where we're able to get everyone to graduate in, 4 years like everyone else. We shouldn't be having to be on this 5-year, 6-year, 7-year, whatever it is, plan.
I think it's an accomplishment if you can finish chemical engineering in 4 years. I think it's a very challenging program, chemical engineering, and we have a relatively small number of professors, so it sort of limits us on the amount of classes we can offer. We have a strategy that will increase the headcount of our professors so we can provide more classes simultaneously.
The more engaged you get into the college experience, the more likely you are to continue and the more likely you are to finish. We do better than other schools in Louisiana, both in retention from 1st to 2nd year and in graduation rate for 6 years and graduate years for 4 years. It only takes one bad semester. For the most part, we have been able to deal with the budget cuts through non-teaching avenues. Incentives, I think, to graduate in 4 years, and clearly we want to help students do that, but we also acknowledge that graduation is more important than how quickly you graduate. 4-year rate, I think, is somewhere in the high 30s, getting close to 40%, where our graduation rate for 6 years is upwards of 70%. So you can see that there's a significant number of students that take more than 4 years. Ideally, everybody would like to see people graduate in 4 years and would like to do it in larger numbers and provide the